All right. Good morning. Everybody hear me okay? We're letting some people flow in. We've got about 12 in here right now. As you're coming in, please like the stream. Say hello. I think it's going to be a good trading day. Oh, we got a little jump to 22. Make sure you're coming in, like the stream, say hello. We're going to let some more people flow in, and we're going to get going here shortly. Ahmed Beats Wendell, good morning to you. Daniel, what up to you? Polly, morning. Good to have you all here. You were always very low volume, can barely hear compared to all other volume sources. Dang, I've got the mic right next to my face. I'm really hoping that once the music goes away, you can hear me better. If the mic was any closer, I'd have to eat it. Daniel, I appreciate that. Maybe one day. All right, we're eating away at time. We gotta get going. We got some trading to do. We need to do some looking. I actually haven't looked at the charts today, so we need to. I need to do that, and I think that I've got so many notes. I was kind of looking at it here a second ago. I've got so many notes up here. I think I'm going to delete everything and start over. Paulie, glad to hear that you're looking to scale up, but please be careful. Those ticks will get away from you quickly, very quickly. Just be sure you're mentally prepared for that. But good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're doing well. This is not financial advice. The information on this channel is provided for education, informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. Please feel free, stop the stream, read this before we keep going. All right, let's get going. We're going to start out on the NASDAQ, and I'm going to get my screen bigger so we can see everything. And we're going to do one of these. We're going to remove all drawings. We're going to zoom out. We're going to take a look, 15-minute chart. And I'm going to look at what this week has done and try to develop an idea or a thesis on what could happen today. Okay, so we had a market that came down. They triggered previous day's levels, and we got the first green day on Monday and breakout. It wasn't quite breakout day one. First day of longs triggered in, second day of longs triggered in. Tuesday, we have a failed breakout at the high of the current week. Failed breakout, so this is your first red day. And this is also triggered previous week's high, so we have all time frames involved. Then after you get the first red day, it comes down and triggers previous day's low, which could indicate to us that this is a lower low. However, it has not broken out. It has only basically a failed breakout. Right? We've got peak formation low, peak formation high. Can't go lower, can't go higher. We're sitting in the middle of a day's range or a week's range. And then yesterday, we not quite at the low of the week. Tried to go lower, failed to go lower, and closed as a green bar. And now we've gone back to previous day's high on Thursday. So we're sitting in the middle of a week's range between high and low. Potentially a lower low on the inside of this current week's range. Of course, it doesn't have to be. This could be a reset. We could continue to go higher. But we'll see. Okay, I don't really have any signals yesterday other than this break in the previous day's low, which could be an indication of a 3-day opportunity. First red, lower low, and then maybe the trade will be today. It could be a 4-bar pattern instead of a 3-bar. We've got the beginning over here of the pump, and then you have your first red, lower low, and then this. So this is like A plus B plus C equals D if that was going to happen. Not saying it will. I don't know if it will. But we're going to have to see. So if I wanted to see that, we've triggered previous day's high, which a lot of times is going to kind of invalidate trades for me. It looks like we've made a higher high over here, and that means that this will validate this as a low. But this market is currently still making higher highs and higher lows. So I don't really know if I feel too good about that. Let's go to US 30, see if I can find something a little bit more clear. A little bit better. I'm on a 15-minute chart, US 30, and looking at the whole entire week. Actually, I need to start from back over here because that's kind of where this move has began. But we got a breakout day on Thursday that failed on the following day. This was the first red day and also the lower low, which followed by a first green day on Monday, which turned into a trap for the week. Breakout day 1 to the downside. Then we get a first green day yesterday. Interesting. And this is at this is actually at the low of the current week. Okay, so we get breakout day 1, Tuesday. First green day. I don't know why I'm putting this in red. I probably should put it in green, huh? Make me feel a little bit better. Scratch the itch. There we go. Project this level across, and this is going to give us a bit of a box, bit of a rectangle. Low of week reversal for US 30. That's kind of what I'm thinking. It could be, right? Now, what I would be waiting for is for it to make a higher high. All right, this is the two things, okay? Number one, market go down. How do I know it's going down? Well, we continuously keep triggering previous day's levels. This has triggered a previous day's high, so maybe this was the higher high, right? I don't want to speculate too much, but I'm just thinking about the levels and what they could mean. We got a breakout, then we get a first green day almost immediately after that. So this could be a trap. This is an opening range breakout down. Then we get an up close bar. You know, if this goes vertical down, I'm not going to be surprised. This could be a trap. And then we would be going back towards low of the week. And it would be a trend trade, which means I can size into it a little bit more. However, if it's a low of week reversal, I can also size into it, especially after first green day. We would be going back to here. So this gives me a really good thesis for either side of the trade. On top of that, we've also triggered previous day's high, which is a higher high. So now I'd be looking for 3 push pullback levels and looking for continuation signs at or around the open. I'm going to look for evidence that they were trapping shorts, and I would look to take that trade. All right, everybody good with that? Type 1 if you understand. If you don't, that's fine too. We're going to keep going. I always like to have both sides kind of figured out. Why would I do either one? And I don't always look to execute either way. And I think in this situation, I would be a little bit more willing. I'd be a little bit more willing to execute in both directions, depending on, you know, as long as my entry criteria is playing out. All right, let's go to gold. Somebody already said gold is just awaiting my trade. So let's see. We had, at the beginning of this week, a first red day. Right at the beginning, we got 3 peaks. Day that opened, tried to go higher. 1, 2, 3, and then failed and closed down yonder. So this is your first red, followed by breakout day 1 on Tuesday. Oh, yeah, that's not how you spell that. So we got a breakout level. Ended up failing. So this is a first green day, technically, right? We got a day that opened, tried to go lower, closed above the open, also closed above previous day's close as well, and near its high. So it even maybe made a higher high. However, could be a 3-bar pattern breakout, pullback, and then now we're looking at continuation. We've broken out. We're at the low of the current week. We've broken out. So right now what's going to happen is I'm going to have to look at this and say, hey, bottom of the box. It's going to become the top of the box. Market only does 3 things. We've broken out. We've pulled back. Are we going to expand the range? Or is this first screen day going to play out? Okay, now normally I'm going to... Is it me? Am I the crazy one? There we go. Normally I'm going to cancel a first green day because it's triggered previous day's low. It's basically broken out of previous day's low coming into the session. However, it could still be set up for a low of week reversal based off the first green. So I'll be watching that. I'll be waiting for it. Either one, I'm fine with either one. Whichever one really starts to play out and looks good. Right now, market is still currently making lower lows and lower highs. So therefore, I would have to be kind of glued to the short thesis until something changed. So we got the lower low. We got a 2-bar pullback. So, and then the breaks, the lower high would be right here. And these are my levels coming into the session. All right, let's go to Russell. Okay, Russell's also very similar thesis to US 30. Looks almost exactly the same, so I'm not going to waste anybody's time. US 30, we had the peak formation high, triggering of the low, breakout day 1 on Tuesday. First green yesterday, and then that leads us into today. The only difference here is that they did not trigger previous day's high today. We're missing that. I think actually they've just been making lower lows and lower highs. So that's a little different. We'll see. News in 3. Is there news at 9:30? I didn't see any, I don't think. Maybe I need to go back and check that. Okay, oil. Peak formation on Monday, first red day. Big pump up, first green, immediately following into first red. Day 1 of the cycle. Day 2 of the cycle was breakout day 1. Looking for follow-through continuation yesterday that went into consolidate. This is what I'm talking about as far as timing goes, right? Because the trade setup was right here. Actually, I think we talked about this on the stream yesterday. Trade setup was right here. I wanted to get in here. I wanted to get in here. I don't want to get in down here once it's already kind of played out, and this is why I don't chase things. This is horrible. Okay. So we got breakout day 1, breakout day 2. Didn't quite close in breakout, but that's the second day of shorts triggered into the market. We looking for a trend today? Or are we looking for a reversal? Well, let's pump back up off the low. Let's go down to a 5. We've gone back to the high of the day. Looks like we've kind of got peaks on both sides. No worries, Daniel. I could have swore I saw it at 8:30 this morning, but I miss things. Okay, we got 1 minute. I am going to get this up here like this. We're going to put this up like that. We're going to get US 30 up there because I don't mind either one. I do think that, this is already broken out. It's broken out twice. Once, twice, maybe even a third time. And it's failing to go higher. And it still could go higher. But as far as like trading setups go, what do I want to focus on? I think US 30 is set up better for an actual setup. Either long or short at this point. So I'll be waiting for that. Oil, I'm really not too sure because we've don't really have a signal yesterday other than just a lower low. I could look for a trend trade if it breaks down. It's kind of broken down. It's a little messy. It's a little choppy. I don't know if I want to focus on that. Let's look at gold. I think gold is a decent option. I really don't have that many good, solid options today. Gold is at the low of the week. Is there anything at the high of the week? We're at all-time highs on any of these? I think someone said that earlier. NASDAQ, I think, was all-time highs. But that doesn't mean it can't keep going. That's a big thing. You know, it does not mean that NASDAQ is not capable of continuing to go higher. 9:31, so we're in the first 5 minutes of the New York session. Likely to just let that play out and see how it goes. Maybe. Trying to get my other screen set up here. Trying to get my other screen set up here. There we go. Just remember, I'm yeah, the 4 hour could be bullish or whatever, but I'm really looking for, you know, it's not about bullish or bearish. It's about setups. We can go either way. I just need it to be a real good and solid trading opportunity, you know, a solid trading setup. US 30 has my interest, it has my attention, and I would be willing to execute. Kind of. Unless this turns into a wick. Yeah. This is so the thesis that we had about could be a higher high. Yesterday was the first green day. Maybe we're going back to the high of the week level. You know? We got 1 minute left on this bar. And at the beginning of the next bar, if this bar closes like this, with how strongly this has moved, would really like to see it, you know, continue to follow through strongly on the next bar. I've entered in very small because I'm entering in before the close of the bar, which is dangerous. Very dangerous. Because on either in the next 10 seconds or 15 seconds or whatever, I could see this thing, you know, we could wick in 10 seconds, 9. So on this next bar, I am looking for it to very strongly continue. I don't want to see a trap. I don't want to see a loss of momentum. I want to see them very aggressively keep going. This is a breakout. This should be a strong breakout. We're looking for strength. It's doing what we said. All right, first green day, higher high, breakout pullback, explosive continuation towards the upside. Back up for levels. High of week. Yeah, US 30, or the comparison with the NASDAQ is doing something very, very, very different. I'm trying not to think about that. Trying not to focus on that. Of course, I'm aware of it. I'm just trying not to think about it. I don't want it to let it mess with my... I don't want it to mess with my head. Do you know what I mean? I think this is a good trade. This is a good setup. Now, the bars have very little to no overlap on a 1 minute chart. I'm going to break even. I've added into my position, and I'm up over 35 points. I'm looking for another place to add in. Probably not in this 5 minute bar, though. That'll be too many add-ins in one place. I think my stop at break even right here is very, very heavily at risk. The reason I have added in and moved my stops to break even is because the bars have little to no overlap, which means that this should be, and I'm going to put that in air quotes, it should be a very strong move. Right now, I'm currently up 80 points. Really not willing to give much of this back. Okay, I've been stopped out for 40 points. I brought my stops up very aggressively. Okay, next bar was about to open. I just brought them up. That was 40 points on 3 minis. Not bad. Little to no heat. Little to no stress. Straight up. Nice. Wish that I could it was after this bar. That's where I started getting in. Okay. 931, 932. Started getting in this bar here. And then I added it into my position once I noticed the little to no overlap in the bars, and they were dragging higher, which allows me to control my risk very tightly. Can you unban me from Discord? Lone, I'll go take a look at it. Okay. I don't know what the reason was that you got banned. If it was for a good reason, then I can't. But if it wasn't, then, you know, mistakes were made. I'll unban you. How's everyone else doing? We got 72 of you in here right now. If you have not already, if you could just do me a big favor, like the stream. It's a little thumbs up button down there. It helps quite a bit. Please and thank you. I might have moved it up too tightly too quickly. That high of week level is still sitting up there. I may have got out too early. And you know what? I'm going to be perfectly okay with that because I managed well. I was reading things in live time. You're still in? Very nice. I think that maybe I should have, if I was to analyze this, like I knew that this was I always do. Yeah, I know. And you know, that's always the thing though is, no matter what, it's always going to be like, oh, I should have done this or I should have done that. And that's how you get better, right? And I think that in this, I really should have probably removed 90%. You know, so if I was on 3 minis, I should have taken off 2, left stops at break even, and just let it run. Because I left out, there's quite a bit left here if it keeps going. But I'm actually very happy with that still. Yep, I got in on this bar right around in here. And I got out right up in here. That's not, my stop was not this wide. Looks trappy. This price action here that we've got going, this is either one of two things. This is either a really good trap because this gets people buying in one direction and then one bar, you know, can trap it all, or it's a very strong pull. The way that this is not overlapping and the pullback is very small and then it continues to go higher. And it was doing exactly what we said this morning when we started this live stream, which was first green day, trigger the higher high, pull back in 3 bars, 1 bar, 2 bar, pause 3, or it could even be 1, 2, 3, and then engulf right at 9:30. Mustang, I've got it set so that when I'm in the position, it doesn't show money, it shows ticks. Actually, I have it set to points on my other screen, but yeah, I've got it set to shows me ticks instead of a dollar amount. I don't like knowing how much I'm up monetarily. Because if I see the number that I'm up monetarily, I will absolutely close early. Here, did I close a little bit early? Yeah, probably. Was it still a really good trade? Yeah, probably. Who said they were in long on NASDAQ? Because you're probably like, you know, feeling decent right now. You just got long? I mean, this bar hasn't closed yet, so you know, is what it is. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think this is probably that trade. We're going from low of week back to high of week. And this was the 3-day pump for a dump. And this is going to end up, I think, being a very good template for you, picture worthy for those of you who are trying to study. You know, you can just take these 3 days like this. Higher high. Right, we were going down. We know we're going down because of the breaks to the low. A higher high and a retest of the low that has failed. Turn into a first green. Day 1, day 2, day 3. A plus B equals C. A plus B equals C. That's what we're looking at. Make sure you're annotating this higher high. The triggering of the previous day's high is very important. Because that's the higher high on a daily scale, daily level. Oh yeah. If you all want to just virtually slap me on the wrist, you can certainly do that. Should have probably held on to this. Naughty. Still a really good week though. very glad to have immediately focused in on US 30. All right, let's go out of here. So gold was another option. It just wasn't setting up as the best option. Very nice. Okay, so I'm going to point some things out. You all take it however you want to take it. Biggest bar on the entire chart. Okay, this one right here, and that was a breakout bar. And then we have a pause, and then we have another bar to the low, and then we have a pause, and then we have another really big bar to the low. Relative, right? I know it's not big, but relative, it is big. And then we have down, up, down, a bar that closed in breakout above this bar's high. So potentially shorts are now trapped below here. And now we've been consolidating above that. If it was me, I'd be very, very careful that I'm not going to get squeezed out. I'm not saying that it can't go down. I'm just saying that would be my thought process. And the way this is also like a creeping trend, you can see the 1, 2, 3 a lot more clearly here on the 1. In fact, not only can you see the creep really well here on the 1, if you just kind of look at it like this. Yeah, you've got the creeping into the low, but you also have a shoulder here. You've got a head and a retest for a shoulder and a descending neckline. And a breakout. So now we're in breakout of that neckline, and we're going sideways. I'm not trying to convince anybody of doing anything. I'm not trying to inform you to execute anything at all. I'm just pointing out what I see to hopefully maybe bring some different thoughts. Naughty, Cameron. What are you doing? It's all right, though. I'll be taking a picture of this as well. Taking a picture of my executions and saying, hey, this is what you could have done well. This is what you did well. This is what you did wrong. This is what you could have done better. As far as what I did wrong, I should have 1,000% on a setup like this where the level's that far away. Closed some and left the rest. Because that wasn't one mini left over for, however much was left. It was a lot of, actually, no, I think it was like 160 or something. Phenomenal move, though. This is the low of week reversal trading. This is a setup straight out of the playbook. Low of week reversal. And also because of the first green. NASDAQ's taking a little bit longer to get up there. It's not moving as nicely. But that's a strong V-bottom reversal. Let's see if there's a 3 push pattern in here. Do you find it's not easy, Mustang, but I think it is getting a lot easier, and it's getting less stressful because it let me here. Breakout 1, pause 2, 3, inside bar, reversal. It's getting less stressful because I think it's kind of like driving a car. when you first start, everything is terrifying. Of course, when I first started, I got put on the interstate immediately. I was like, holy cow. But it got me over the fear really, really well. Like, it became far less stressful after a couple of days because I was immediately thrown into the worst possible situation. But that's good. It removes the fear, it removes the anxiety, and then you can think very clearly in most situations. And I think that's probably the same thing here. I'm not going to say I've seen it all, but I've definitely seen every market condition. I've seen all the market cycles. I've seen an up cycle. I've seen a down cycle. I've seen a ranging cycle. I've seen, a long-term accumulation, a long-term distribution where they've sat up higher, they've sat down low. I've seen rallies in a bear market, and I've seen, strong dumps in a bull market. So I'm not going to say I've seen it all, but I've at least seen enough market conditions and the market cycles on repeat enough times that whenever certain things begin to happen, and I've seen the setups enough time, whenever something happens, I know how to respond. And I know when to sit on my hands. And I know when to get excited about something and execute. Like, for example, US 30, it opened. The market opened, and I was already like, I need to execute. Because I knew that this was very high probability of the trading setup that we talked about in the morning discussion. So it doesn't get easier. It just becomes less stressful. And I think over time you simplify things a lot more, and it does, I think that is what makes it a little bit easier. What are your thoughts? Trump news about wanting to fire Fed Pal. Does it lead to first red days and first green days? Does it lead to 3 days of breakouts? Does it lead to 3-day opportunities? That's what I think about it. Is a white background preference, or is there research behind it? I don't know. I have astigmatism. And the way that I have this set up, I used to use just black and white candles, and I like to just kind of change it up from time to time. But the candles stick out to me really well on the white background, and it doesn't hurt my eyes. When I use a black background and I have to put, the candle colors up there, you can actually see. For whatever reason, it says it really hurts my eyes to look at that for a long time. So, news doesn't matter. I disagree to some extent. The news calendar absolutely matters, because if you're trying to decide on whether or not you want to trade the front side or the back side of a week, the news calendar will absolutely help. That doesn't mean there won't be trading setups in the front half of the week or the back half of the week. It just means that, if you're looking at, Wednesday is FOMC, that's going to probably help you a lot with your decision making. And also, do I trade in the morning on an FOMC day? No. So I agree, and I also disagree. I don't really think he said it doesn't matter, though, Gaines. And I think he actually specifically says don't trade on non-farm days. Like, don't even trade at all. But I could be wrong. His videos were like 4 hours long, so hard to remember every word. US 30 first green day Wednesday, Thursday higher high, New York session for DNP template. Same setup on US 500, just different variation. Exactly. Good stuff. And you're going to see that over and over again, where it's a different variation of the same theme. It might look a little different, but the characteristics of what built the trade are the same. How they pull back might look a little different. The level that they actually move off of might be a little bit different. But at the end of the day, the characteristics will remain the same. We had a large dumping day, day one of the cycle. We had a first green day at the low of the current week. We had a higher high and a pullback for a continuation at 9:30. That's a pretty easy little equation to go off of. Do you agree that there can be multiple winning strategies? Oh my gosh, no. So I read the first half out loud. That's not what I was saying no to. He said, Tony asked, do you agree that there can only be, or that there can be multiple winning strategies, or would you say that Burke is the only one that can work? Number one, Stacey Burke's teachings, they're very good. His system that he describes on YouTube is very good. I would highly recommend all of you go read Toby Crable's book. I would highly recommend you look into Steve Mauro and the 3-day cycle with this stuff's been around forever, okay? So, if you want to go back and find all this information at the source, Toby Crable is really good. Obviously, Schabacker, Edwards, and Magee, like the classical charting from way back when. If you want to find all of this stuff at the source, market cycles with George Douglas Taylor. So that goes into the second part of the question. Or would you say that this is the only one that can work? I think that if you are just trading direction, you're far less likely to, because there's too many fake outs, there's too many misleading moves, right? But no, I think there's plenty of scalping strategies that work. There's plenty of other trading systems that follow the fundamentals of the market, as far as the market only does 3 things. So if you have a system that is heavily based off of the market only doing 3 things, trending, reversing, or staying in training range, and you have a playbook of setups for those market conditions, you're probably going to do okay. As long as you put in the work, you put in the effort, and you are following to a T, how you plan to trade. And you keep it professional. You keep it very business-like. For me, I don't like swing trading. I don't like buying something and holding it for long periods of time. It takes too long. So this style really fits me, but are there profitable, good swing trading, styles out there? Sure. 100%. And I think there probably is more swing trading strategies that work better than, short-term scalping when executed properly. All strategies work as long as your money management is working. Yeah. I think that's 100% the truth. If you're getting emotional and you're not treating it professionally and business-like, and you're just willy-nilly, probably not gonna work out well. NASDAQ finally getting back up to the high. Now we've hit it for a third time. So, discretionary trading, Tony. 100%. Yes. Tony asked again, which, Tony, you've had a lot of good questions today. Heck yeah. Are there times that your strategy says trade, but you have a bad feeling about it and then don't trade it? Yes. And I've actually added playbook opportunities based off of some of those situations. For example, first red days in a breakout market, or first green days in a breakout market, that didn't used to be a part of my playbook. Looking for those trap opportunities, those trap trades, basically a 3-bar template where a market's in breakout, you get a first red day, and then it keeps going up. Well, how do I behave? What am I looking for? So I had to identify that for myself. So I added those trap templates into my playbook, which would keep me from executing a poor quality first red day and might actually get me trading in the other direction, or I might just know to sit on my hands and do nothing. Or, if the chart is just looking a certain way and it's not squeezing properly, they're not allowing one side of the market to get into the money, then a lot of times I won't trade it, even though, according to the characteristics of the trade, I should be okay to get in, but they're just not letting my side of the market make money. So I won't execute. I think you all, since I've started doing these streams so frequently, I'm sure that at least one time in the past couple of weeks I've said that, where, hey, this looks good, but it's just not moving the way that I would expect or anticipate, so I just don't take it. The hour in queue. Here we go. Oh yeah, new hour. It is a new hour. Look at that. Are we going to go up for that hive week level? And I wonder, so you all know that if you don't have levels to go off of, high of the day becomes the top of the box, previous day's high becomes the bottom of the box, and you can measure. And sure enough, that'll put us pretty much right there. Anybody still holding on to the NASDAQ? And again, I'm not telling you to hold this until this. I'm just pointing out potential or possibilities based off of an expansion of a range. Trailing since London lows. Oh, so we're talking about like over here. Carla, you got in basically London lows down over here and then on the move up. Was it you, Carlo, that you said, I think it was like right around over here, you said I'm long on NQ. I think I remember you saying, somebody said this, and I popped over here and it looked kind of like this. And then I noticed it trailing higher. Tony, it's not for the faint of heart. It moves very fast, and it'll move a lot. If you're used to something slower like Euro USD, where you could see, 10 ticks, 20 ticks, or 20 points, or up, not points, excuse me, pips. It takes a long time sometimes. I mean, the NASDAQ, you can go from 0 ticks to 100 ticks like that. It'll start jumping in points too. It could jump 50 points. So if you don't have your emotions on lock and you don't have your trading plan on lock, you'll do some damage very fast. Now, of course, it could go the other way. If you do have everything on lock and you are doing all of the right things, then you can go the other way very quickly. Faint of heart, yeah. Whatever that phrase is. Gold, Wall Street. Too much caffeine this morning. US 30. Any of these, really. I think oil maybe a little bit slower at times. But any of these, they move very quick. So I'd be very careful. Especially for your first time. Maybe the first time or first few times, just do it on demo and just get a feel. Get a feel for it. Oh, yeah. For anybody just jumping in here, sorry, I'm just running my mouth. I took this trade on US 30 for 40 points. If you go back to the beginning, Nikolai, we actually talked about, actually, you don't have to. Don't even worry about it. I'll just do it right now. This morning when we were looking at the analysis part, I said this could either be a lower low for a first green day trap, Or this could be the higher high, the beginning of the move down, first green day, large dumping day, first green day for a continuation to go up, back up towards the high of the current week. And then we had noticed they triggered previous day's high, which was a higher high. And then at 9:30, we got this explosive move up, confirming the first green day thesis, which is why I got in. Yeah, it's in there, Ahmed. It's in the playbook as well. Very nice, Nikolai. Seems like a few people did pretty good today. Gains, yeah, I goofed, and that's one of the things that I do anytime I take trades, or even when I don't. What did I do well? What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? I identified the trade extremely well. Identification of the trade and my focusing in. The playbook's at the bottom, Ahmed. In the boot camp, it's at the bottom. It's a PDF. Actually, it might be at the top. I might have put it in with the study binder, but it's in there. I identified the trade extremely well. I executed extremely well without hesitation. I knew exactly what I was looking for, waiting for. I added in extremely well. And then the only thing that I feel like I really kind of butchered was my exit. I trailed a little bit too tightly up here. And instead of just closing partials and allowing the rest to run, I closed the entire position. Ooh. So this is what we were talking about on gold earlier. Identifying the squeeze, identifying who's caught, who's trapped. So let's study this together a little bit. We already talked about the 3 push pattern, the little head and shoulders here, inverse. I was looking at a 5-minute chart and noticing big breakout bar to the downside, 2 and 3. So we might have traps below P2. And then if you look at the 5-minute chart, you can actually see the 3 attempts to go lower, 1, 2. And then on the 3rd attempt to go lower, they actually put in a higher low and then immediately took that away. So this began the squeeze. This was the start of the squeeze to go back up. And if you look at a 1 minute, you can see that even better, where they stopped allowing the shorts out right here. And when they popped back up, they slammed price back down. Took it away, slammed price back down, 1, 2, 3, took it away, and they just stopped letting the shorts make money. The pullbacks begin getting more and more shallow, and it starts dragging higher and higher. Really just a solid way of looking at price action, in my opinion. Solid way of looking at it in live time, and also looking at it a little bit more objectively than just full-on discretion. Do you think the market knows your stop loss? I don't know. I just know that 100% we are the most predictable as human beings. Us, you, me, everybody, all 63 of you sitting in this chat room right now. We are the most predictable at the highs and the lows of bars and the close. We're the most predictable at the highs and the lows of bars and at the highs and the lows of swing points, and we're at the highs and the lows of previous day. Obviously that's a daily bar, right? So previous day's high and low, we're very predictable around those areas. So it doesn't take an algorithm to identify where money's at. Mr. Mustang. So what I do whenever I change my mind about direction, that's usually my indication not to take the trade. I just won't execute most of the time. If I go into a session, so remember this morning I said, hey, US 30, first green day could be a trap, or we could go back to the high and, first green day would be the execution. If we started squeezing, if we built like a little descending triangle at closing price, I would have taken the short because I went into the session with the understanding that it could go either way. But the long confirmed, so I took that. I just have to come into the session with the understanding that it could go either way, and I'd be willing to execute either way. If I come into the session and say, "Hey, I'm only willing to take the first green day because of this, this, and this," then I'm only going to do that. And if it starts to go down, I just won't take it. Yeah, I don't know about that, Carlo. High of day, low of day. If I have kids, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Time to go to the day job. Gaines, you have a good day. Paul, if you're trading futures, it might be YM. YM is US 30. Little to no overlap in the bars. Probably going back for this little area right here, maybe. Or maybe it's going to come and make a lower high, and then it'll go down. There you go. Paulie, I think Carlo, I don't use Thinkorswim, so I that's the only reason I got quiet on it, because I actually don't know. I'd have to go Google it, but I think Carlo might have helped you out. If that doesn't work though, Paulie, I would just Google it. US 30 on Thinkorswim. What is ticker? I use Google for everything, which has been very beneficial because now we've got AI or whatever, the Google AI makes things really easy. Sitting here watching or take it as a sign. I'm sitting here watching US 30 on a 1 minute chart. It's trading so clean today. So clean. Where did I get stopped out? I think I got stopped out about right here. Yeah, I gave up about 70 points. That kind of hurts. It's all right, though. Live and you learn, right? A little bit better every day. Oh, I just noticed this on a 15-minute chart. That's funny. The biggest middle finger candle you've ever seen. An engulfing bar, down close, closing lower than the previous 2 bars lows. Opens and immediately goes straight up. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what would have happened if you short this, trying to anticipate the short at the open? Oh my gosh. Oh, no, no, no. Hey, Tony, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Less is more in trading by a lot. As long as you have setups that show up frequently, then there's no reason for me to add more. I don't need to add the purple unicorn twisty swirly setup. I don't need to add the I don't even know how I just came up with that on the fly. That's ridiculous. You don't need any more in reality. I think I'm more than happy with this. Three full bars should be interpreted as three pushes up or down. Which three bars, Carlo? And it depends on the context of when the bars showed up. Did they show up after a structural break, or did they just show up anywhere on the chart? No, I don't use an EMA. I tried it. I tried to use the EMA, and I started making decisions solely based off of it, and I don't like it. It made me start behaving irrationally. And less accurate as well. I stopped using price action. I started relying on the EMA, so I stopped using it. So the only time I look for three pushes, Carlo, because they show up all over the place, but the only time I really look for them is after structural breaks, right? So if I have a high in place and I have a low in place, let's say that just for the hypothetical, we've been making higher highs and higher lows, and we get a break of the high, kind of like US 30 today, right? We get a break of a high, so we have a structural break. Then I look for three pushes. And I don't know when that three pushes has completed until I get my engulfment up. And then I can look at the chart and say, okay, this is where the three pushes was. This is where the traps are at, blah, 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 right? Same thing if we're going down. I've got a low in place, and they break the low, and they have a structural breakdown. Then I can look for the three pushes back up, and I don't know where those three pushes are until I get my engulfment, right? Three pushes is very subjective. You'll see it all over the place. The key is just knowing when to use it, when it's the most advantageous to you. The different ways that they can pull back in those three push patterns. And then once the pattern completes, where are people, based off psychology, where are people caught, so that way you can manage the position the best that you possibly can. Yeah. Even like right here. Okay, this is a good example because I literally just said this, so we'll look at it over here. They broke a previous day's high for the first time, which means this was a structural break on the NASDAQ. Let me pull this up. All right, they broke the previous day's high for the first time right here. So this was a structural break. So now I can look for three pushes. So what I would do is I would look and see, once they engulf, where was the three pushes? So we have a bar over here and right here, really. Over here, I could say, okay, well, that's a 1, 2, 3 and an engulfment. So maybe I could have been looking for a long over here and got stopped out. On the second drive down, though, that's going to make me stop looking for that 1, 2, 3 pattern, because this would be wrong. So now we have push 1 and push 2. We have another engulfment, which completes the push 2 pattern. And then you get the third drive into the low and a bar, breakout, essentially. So where are people caught in this move? I would say, okay, well, this is push 1, push 2. We come down for push 3. We should have people caught below P2. And we've got evidence of that. They wicked down into it, but they didn't close down there. That's good. It's very good. Hope that makes sense. Oh, ads will run shortly for some viewers. No, they won't. Skip. We'll sit here and watch together for another 10 minutes. I like that people are asking questions. It's nice. Makes it a little bit more fun for me instead of just sitting here staring at these candles bob up and down. And honestly, I enjoy answering them. It's fun. And I'm sure there's some lurkers in the background that show up every day and then don't talk. And that's fine. Love it. But those lurkers are probably getting something out of it. Oh, there's Stuart. You've been lurking. I'm just kidding. Morning, Stuart. Yeah, most of my view on prop firms has always been, use the prop firm to help build your personal and get to your personal as soon as you can. I really like first red and first green days when they set up well, Mr. Mustang. When they set up really well for like low of week, high of week reversals, because it's always going to present the same way characteristics wise, right? So I'm looking for a squeeze no matter what trade I take. I'm looking for a long or a short squeeze. I just like looking for longs and short squeezes after a first red or a first green day. Like we get a big down close day like this. I don't really like to see it down close this wide, but just like a good, and I prefer shorting as well. My brain sees it better. I like the way that things move more. I think they probably move about the same as a long position, but it just seems like whenever there's a good short, the thing just moves. It just goes and it rips and it doesn't stop. Even if it's just a trap, right? It just seems like it pulls. What's the longest you've gone without trading? Probably like 3 or 4 days. Like I think I went almost an entire week. I've probably gone an entire week at some point. I can't remember. There's no like notable time that I can remember. But the longest that I've not traded before, obviously since I've started trading, was my honeymoon. Other than that, I think I've been at it pretty consistent every day. Is trading addictive? If you're gambling, sure. If you're treating it like gambling, it'll be addictive. I think that it's important not to... It's probably very important not to mix up addiction with passion. Do you think one trade per week is acceptable? If it's the right trade, absolutely. Because I'm very passionate about trading. I could sit here and talk to you all. It's 10:24 in the morning. We could finish this discussion this evening at 5 p.m. And I'd probably still have things to run my mouth about. As long as people kept asking questions, I would keep answering them. And it's probably the only other thing that I think I could talk like that about would be like fishing or weightlifting, like powerlifting. I think I could talk about those two as much. And cars. I could talk about cars too. I guess I have a few things I could talk like that about. Seeing a pretty decent retracement now on US 30. Do I miss currency pairs? Yeah, sometimes. You know what? I actually don't really think that I miss the currency pairs. I just like the freedom to move. I like to change things up. You know, I really like TradingView. But I kind of miss MetaTrader. It was clunky. It wasn't user friendly. But I kind of liked it for some reason. I don't know why. I guess I would go back to it now just for nostalgia, but yeah. And I really liked using the magic keys, the little trade management keyboard, and being able to manage positions that way. I really liked that. Because it would allow me to keep my average position size in one place. That's actually crazy. My son does powerlifting. He is 20 years old. He's number 1 in Australia and number 3 in the world. It's amazing. I've actually never competed. And I had set a goal for myself that I wanted to compete. I just haven't felt like I have the numbers to compete at my weight. There's people that are my weight that are lifting, I mean, just stupid amounts of, even lighter than me that are lifting more. I never used MT4. MT5 was really good. I really liked MT5. MT4 was okay, but it was just, I think it was a little bit more laggy. It was a little bit more, I had problems with like the indicators. I tried to use it one time on demo just to try it out. And it seemed like the indicators had problems like loading and things like that. So MT5, I think, was just a little bit better. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's about 10:30. I took this trade an hour ago. Took it really early on, but I didn't want to just take the trade and then end the stream because it's kind of rude. But I wanted to hang out and just, sit with you all for a bit. Chit chat about this and that, and we've done that. So tomorrow, same time, 9:15 a.m. Eastern time, ready to go, ready to trade. We'll do the same thing as we did today and have been doing every single day for like 2 weeks now, which has been a lot of fun. We'll come in, we'll chit chat about what we're looking for. We might execute, we might not. And then we'll go on about our weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a great rest of your day. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.